Hi, Leah. I see you just joined. You're on mute if you're trying to talk something. Leah, you're on mute. Yeah.
Hi.
There you go.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So Leah is a recruiter. She might be able to give us some insights on how things are going. So how's your day been, Leah? I mean, are you busy? Is your week getting busy, or how's it going?
Yeah, good. So what's going on? What we think
I think she.
the relation with the hiring managers and clients and things like that is that in this initial phase of the shutdown, is that we're progressing, to new stages of shutdown and lockdown, is that a lot of businesses are trying to figure out, okay, what are their business critical projects that can move forward, and then also what are the business critical resources that they need. So from there, that's determining what's going to be pushed through to be hired. But the other thing is also, like, HR is very busy. They have a lot of people who are starting working from home. So they've got a lot of communications that they need to do for, like, OH&S for a lot of the people who are now working from home. And then also figuring out strategy for doing the recruitment process and onboarding process completely remotely. Like, how do you make someone feel as part of your company and meet their teammates completely remotely, So
that's really tricky, isn't it? So is onboarding still going on? Are people still onboarding new employees?
Yeah. So there are some places that are still pushing things through. So, like, industries where I have been seeing movement. We work very closely with Coles. So there's a lot going on at Coles, obviously, because they're very busy. They're 50% busier than they are during their peak time. So it's completely insane for them right now. But the thing is with that, although they are very, very busy and they are going ahead with hiring in some areas, it is actually negatively affecting other areas where they've had to kind of stop a bit of hiring because they have to help out other teams. So that's what's happening there. Also, government clients, quite a few of the government clients still going through, and then also healthcare and education as well.
Yeah, so that's good news. So lesson is the hiring is still going on. Don't sit back and relax thinking that nothing is going on. There are still roles. I actually got a message from one of my connections yesterday that she secured a role 2 days back, and she's starting on the 20th of next month, I think. Yeah. So people are still hiring. The activities are still going on. Retail sector is like skyrocketing. So my wife works on a Bunnings project, and she was saying, this whole week Bunnings has been making record sales all over. So Bunnings is also going big. So Coles, Woolworths, Bunnings, stuff like organizations like that have been really good. So don't sit back and relax and push for more things. So I think we have a smaller crowd today. So that means I could probably give each of you an opportunity to introduce yourself and share what's been happening in the last 1 week and how things are going and what you're doing right now. So go ahead. Shall I pick the name, or do you want to volunteer and start? Okay, if no one is responding, I'll pick a name. So let's go in the order of the list that's in my laptop. So Ashwin, would you like to introduce yourself and share what's happening with you? Ashwin, you're on mute if you're trying to talk something.
Hello. Hi, Vinesh. I'm Ashwin. I'm a student here. I'm doing a Master of Business in Queensland University of Technology. I live in Brisbane, so I have a previous experience in IT. I was a .NET developer for 4.5 years back in India. I worked in Cognizant and HCL in that period. and now it's my second semester. Now all the classes has been moved to online, and I was going to internship in a digital marketing area, and even that's moved to online. And the good thing in this situation is, so I connected with you on LinkedIn. I think 6 months back, and I used to see all the meetups you do in Melbourne, and I was not able to attend it, but now it's because it's online, I'm able to attend it. That's one of the good things in the situation.
Yeah, good to hear that. Thanks for sharing that, Ashwin.
Yeah.
So to those who are new here, because we have less people today, I'm just picking up names and letting you introduce yourself and sharing a bit about what you're going through right now or what you've been doing during these days. So next in my list is Gauri. If you can share or if you can introduce yourself. If you're trying to talk something, we are on mute right now, so you have to unmute and go for it. No, Gauri doesn't want to talk. Oh yeah, I'll pick the next person then. Harish, hi Harish, how are you? Harish, you're on mute as well.
Unmute. Yeah, I have unmuted now. Yeah. So hi, good afternoon, and hope all of you are doing well. So I'll first introduce myself, and then I would give a brief of what I have done this week. Okay. So I am an ICT or rather an IT person, and I have been doing business analysis. Started my career as testing, and then later on moved to business analyst. I have about 14 years of experience, mostly around the banking area, and my PR took like 2.5 years. I applied I'm in the entire process. I am counting from the day I gave the money to my agent and said that, okay, this is what we are going to do. Till the time I officially received the PR in my inbox. So it was like a good 2.5 years. I'm married. I have a 15-month-old kid back in Mumbai. My wife and my kid are in Mumbai. And I moved here to Melbourne. So we made an initial entry last September, and then I have moved alone here somewhere in the second week of March. So I marginally escaped the quarantine, I should say, the official quarantine. Yeah. So that's about my movement to Australia, and then. I would say that this session, when you sent it across, and I think I joined the first session itself. I'm not sure. I think I joined the first session. If this is the fifth, so I joined the first session itself. And how this session is helping me out is because there, like Hughes is one guy. There's one more. I forgot Venkat, whom you had mentioned in one of your posts, who had got a job in Coles. Maybe he's not a part of the session. But your connects are actually linking me some way or the other to various recruiters. So I would give you one more example. Hughes, we met over an informal or this kind of a forum, which is not exactly an formal forum. And I connected to him personally, and I said that I know that so-and-so job openings I have seen with People Bank, and James is the recruiter. Though I had made a connection with James over the LinkedIn, but the talks had not exactly started. Hughes then introduced me over to him email. James called me, and then, now James knows, okay, there is a background to this guy types. All right. So he has been introduced me. So that's how the session has been really helpful. All right.
Perfect example of how networking helps you, Harish.
Exactly.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah.
So James was one guy whom, as you said, there are so many connects that you'll be getting, and it is like an outbound call center that I am sending invite to people and kind of trying to get connected. But here, when I saw that there was a dotted line between the two, I requested Hughes to introduce me, and that worked. So now, I have made few connects. Even Venkat helped me with one of his recruiters. My roommate helped me with one of the recruiters across Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, or whatever. I'm sorry, there would be some amount of noise in the background. The others are cooking. So all these networks, I have made an Excel sheet. There are some WhatsApp groups where I have joined in. Some recruiters or some contractors are there in the WhatsApp as well. but for me, those are priority 2 because they take your CV and I hardly hear back from them. Maybe the market is slow, or maybe their sources are slow, whatever the case may be. But
Thanks for sharing
certain connects which I have personally interacted with, or I have got an upfront call, who have taken the pains to review my CV, hear me out, what I have done and stuff like that. For them, these guys are priority 1 for me. So periodically I can reach out to them, I can call them, or I can email them kind of stuff. And in the last week, or rather in this week, since Thursday, I started off with Scrum Master course in Udemy. It's a 5.5 hours course. I hardly completed around 2 hours or 2.5 hours. I'm hoping that this weekend I should be able to complete. And maybe long foreseen this one, that by end of this month, I want to give the official Scrum Master certification with scrum.org. So that's brilliant. I aspire.
Excellent. Excellent summary, Harish. Thanks for sharing that. So he kind of encapsulated, the power of networking and how you can effectively progress during these hard times. So the next few people that I'd like to invite,
I hope I didn't take too much of time. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But important was to convey the fact that how this thing is going to help us to build an network.
Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah. So, Kimberly, you want to go ahead? You already introduced yourself, but please go ahead. You're on mute.
Hi, my name is Kimberly. I'm a recent graduate and I'm in the market at kind of a wrong time, but I'm making the best of it. I said earlier that I'm in analytics, and now I kind of have online virtual coffee catch-ups happening. So it's with one of my past colleagues where I was interning, and I am learning a lot, connecting a lot more. And 2 recruiters have actually contacted me, and I'm arranging a coffee chat with one of them, virtual coffee chat. So hopefully this helps.
That's excellent. Thanks for sharing, Kimberly. Leah, you want to go again?
Sure. So I work at People Bank. So we're an IT recruitment agency. And I found out about this event because, Vinesh was showing up in my LinkedIn feed quite frequently. I didn't realize and sent a connection request, and my colleagues Hugh and Hugh attend a lot of your events, so I was like, and Vinesh invited me, so I thought it'd be great just to have a chat with everyone, and also give a bit of insight of what's happening from our side. And I look after most of the data space, so data analysts, reporting analysts, data scientists, engineers, all of those kinds of things. And then also sometimes when James doesn't have capacity, I'll look after business analyst roles as well. So feel free, you can send me a connection request on LinkedIn and have a chat with me if you like. But I also recommend during this time to reach out to companies that you're interested in. Maybe if you find out someone would be on a team that you are interested in joining, or a team in a company that you're interested in joining, I recommend reach out to them as well. Just to that way you'll be able to in front of hiring managers a couple of different ways. You'll end up showing up on more people's feeds as well. So now is really time to do a lot more networking on LinkedIn, making posts, articles, things like that. Will give you a lot more exposure and get in front of a lot more people, because at this time the market's getting more and more candidates. It's just being a bit more flooded, but there's a chance there's other ways, and we'll definitely start seeing more roles trickle through soon. So
Excellent. Thank you. So like Harish mentioned, this is another link for you to in People Bank. Leah, Hugh, James, and everyone. It's a small world out there. You can get connected to everyone in a short amount of time. I'm skipping the rest of the people. Let's talk about the questions and then we'll come back. So if you have Maladi, Parda, Shrikant, Suchi, if you have any questions, we'll probably address it towards the end of the session. So like all my previous events, the format is we have a Google form which is linked to the meetup, and you submit your questions there. I'll pick 2 to 3 questions and we'll talk about it so that you get most value out of this 30 minutes. So the questions, I did not get much questions today for this event, but I'm picking a few questions which I got in the past events. So please, if you're attending this event, if you have any questions, please put it in this Google form rather than asking it directly in person over here, so that I'm prepared and I can have a structure to how I respond to your question. So Sundar Ishwaran asked this question: is LinkedIn the only platform to connect with other professionals with my similar background? Yes and no. LinkedIn is probably the easiest and most popular platform. Most are on LinkedIn, but I see a lot of networking happening on other platforms as well, including Facebook or Instagram or any other platform, right? So meetups, for example, some of the people who attend my events today or in the past are not connected to me on LinkedIn. They just see me on Meetup and they attend my events, and then they know, hey, I'm on LinkedIn as well, and they connect over there as well, right? A lot of people do not actively network in social media, right? Right now that might have peaked up, but there are still recruiters who do not actively recruit on LinkedIn. So how do they find them out, right? Connecting to people like you, like Leah, or, connecting to people, and through people, you can connect to different people who are on social media, who are outside social media, who are on social media and who's not in outreach. That's like 3+ of your connection. So networking is like an interconnected spider web. There are hundreds of links that are going through in a short period of time. Like we had 3-4 catch-ups now, and there is a link between Hugh, James, and Leah right now, and Harish is part of that, right? So that's a simple example on how you can connect to people. So the best way to network is you have to go out and find people. That's imperative over here. You don't expect people to come and talk to you unless you're good, your personal brand is good. So for example, me, I post a lot of stuff on LinkedIn and people reach out to me rather than me reaching out to people, right? So if you have a good personal brand, people will come to you. Otherwise, you have to find them and chase them out. Tons of platforms, use anyone. WhatsApp is also a great medium. Like Harish mentioned, if you're part of a WhatsApp group, you can probably connect to hundreds of people in that group itself. So there are tons of other media. Another question by Sonali Bobde. Her question is, for sales background without local experience, I'm getting noise from someone. Can you go on mute if you're not? Yeah. So for sales background without local experience, are the resumes shortlisted? How to increase the chances of getting shortlisted? So I find this question rather very interesting. The key skill for you to have in a sales background is selling, right? That's the key skill you should have. But often what people do not do is they're not good at selling themselves. Here in Australia, any profile, irrespective of what it is, sales, IT, or even a role that you don't need to have human interaction, you should be able to sell yourself. And selling is a whole other different skill. Most of the participants over here who I think are from India are very bad at that because they don't have to sell themselves. But for example, in India, you don't have to, say, hey, I'm this. No, you just apply for a role and then people reach out to you because the market is big. There is tons of opportunities and there is a lot of demand for you. That's the reason. But here, on the other hand, the market is small compared to India. That is, market is small, and a lot of this stuff happens through relations, right? So you have to make yourself visible. Common complaints from migrants who come out here. I'm new here. I don't know anyone. Every migrant is new here. They don't know anyone, right? But you have to build your network. You're competing against people who are already here, who have like a generation of networks, school friends, college mates, relatives, cousins, parents, friends, they have tons of connections, and that's how they grow their career. But you, as a migrant, probably don't have any of those connections, but you can build it. You can make that connection. You can get into the system, and the first skill you need for that is to sell yourself. You have to be confident. You have to be prepared. You have to sell yourself in multiple ways. LinkedIn is an excellent medium. Your elevator pitch is another medium. So you have to keep showcasing, hey, this is what I am. This is what I am. This is what I am. It sounds a bit odd to self-promote, but you have to do it, and that is an important part of your job search over here. Next question is by Jinesh. With this pandemic situation all around the globe, is this going to affect the immigrants who are struggling to find a basic job? Since the casual jobs are all gone in a week, and now it's hard to keep up with the Australians in the competition. What are your thoughts on this, and how my immigrants can come back in this job hunting scenario? Again, personally, I do not differentiate between Australian job seekers and migrant job seekers. That differentiation comes when you classify yourself as, hey, I'm new here, I don't know anyone, I don't know what to get into the market, right? So yes, people who are, for example, if you've been working in Telstra for like 5 years and you want to get a role into Upwork, yes, there is a link over there, but that link was that link is even practical. Even if you're a migrant, you've worked for 5 years in say a telecom company, maybe not in Australia, in different country, you still have that advantage here. It all comes up to how do you sell yourself? What is your personal brand? How are you better than this? Who can refer you? Like Harish mentioned, he mentioned he connected to James directly. He waited for a response. He did not get a response, but he contacted Q, who was a part of the meetup of this meetup in I think last event, and Q introduced him to James, and that worked, right? So don't differentiate yourself as a migrant versus an Aussie. Don't differentiate yourself as a new migrant. Don't differentiate yourself as a student. Don't differentiate yourself as someone who's coming back from a career. You have a set of skills. How do you showcase that? How do you stand out from in this market, right? How do you make connections? How do you make, how do you connect to a person who can refer you to, how can you connect to Q, who referred you to James, and who can eventually refer you to Leah, for example, in this meetup, right? So that should be your objective. Don't take these negative things as the focus. Say, for example, students, I hear a lot, I don't have a PR. That's the reason I'm not getting a job. That's the common excuse, and they often sit back and relax because of that. The only thing that I tell them is, I had a PR. I came to Australia. It took me 8 months to find work. So it's not about PR, right? Again, people complain, I don't have local experience, so I'm not getting a job. But if I don't get a job, how do I get local experience? Again, that vicious loop, right? So the stuff that you can do right now is to build your brand, to build your network, to make sure that someone refers you to someone and you get a direct link in through that. So that's what you have to do. So those were the 3 questions I had for today. Any questions or any clarifications around these 3 questions that you have? Or is everyone signed off?
I would say, if you send a message to a recruiter, don't get discouraged if they don't reply, just because we get a lot of messages. And we still need to balance with what we're working on for our clients. So I would get discouraged if they don't reply, and try again. And if they don't reply, then I would say, reach out to other recruiters and see of other routes of, getting into contact with them. But just keep trying and don't get too.
I have a question. Maybe Leah can answer that.
One second. I'll just respond to Leah's response. So excellent point, Leah. So we tend to take it personal when someone doesn't reply to a message or someone doesn't pick a call. Suchi actually explained that, a call was scheduled with the recruiter at 2 p.m. and she called the recruiter at 2 p.m. and he did not pick, and she sent a message to the recruiter and no response again, right? Yes, that's a bad thing to happen, but do not take it personally. Do not take it, hey, why does this person not respond to me, right? Think on a recruiter's shoes, right? I wish I could show my LinkedIn inbox, the kind of messages that I get every day. Now, as an introduction, the messages that I get, hey, I'm looking for a job. Here is my resume. Can you share it to your network? No, I don't know who this person is. I don't know what this person does. I don't know how I can help. I'm not a recruiter myself, right? I just help people to get a job, right? So, unfortunately, if that's the case for me, just think about a recruiter's inbox. There might be hundreds of such messages from all over the world. How do they filter it, or how do they respond to those messages? So it's very hard. Don't think that your job is, job of job searching is hard. Think of a recruiter's perspective once in a while, as in, why do they not respond? Why do they not pick the call? Why do they not respond to your email? There are tons of reasons. They are busy people. In the end, they are working for their survival as well. They are working typically recruiters it's a sales job. So the more they hire, the more money they make as well. So they have targets as well. So it's not their duty to give you attention, right? It's your duty to get attention from them. That's the tricky part over here. So, Harish, you had some questions?
So I'm not sure if Leah is still there. because she's from...
Did she drop? Leah's still there.
Okay. So, my thing was, when you are discussing an opportunity with a recruiter or with an agency or with a consultant, whoever it is, when this question comes, so you don't have a local experience, all right? So this definitely comes as a question. So, the fact is that, as you said, it's a vicious circle. So if I'm not going to get a job, never I'm going to get a local experience, right? So I try to tackle it saying that, okay, I don't have a local experience, but whatever you have mentioned is something that I have done in my past, all right? But any better way of tackling this? Actually, I'm asking a question on how to tackle an interview question. So, any of you can contribute. It would help.
Leah, do you have something to add to that?
No, thanks.
I would say for that, a lot of times when that question comes up, it's because the client is probably large enterprise. And usually that's kind of their preference, is they would like someone to have a bit of Australian experience because of a lot of the stakeholder management in all of these roles, no matter whether your role is a data analyst to, a BA, you definitely have to have great stakeholder management skills. It's all about relationship building, and it's part of the culture in Australia. And as you're hearing it from Vinesh, that's how a lot of people find their jobs, is through relationship building. And so and that's central to a lot of the roles that we're working on. So what I would say for that is, working on networking. And then also, if you are struggling so much to find that role, it might be time to maybe accept a shorter contract term, or accept, maybe a step back from the position that you were in before when you first came, just to get your foot in the door, just to get that first amount of experience. And then you'll be able to say, okay, I have that Australian experience. Or because, you could go for like a tier 2 type of employer, maybe a smaller software or consultancy. And then through consultancies, you will have been working with, NAB, ANZ, Telstra, whoever the consultancy works with, give you good experience to move to the client side and have that Australian experience.
Thank you.
Excellent advice, Leah. So to add to that point, again, it's tricky. when it comes to recruiters, they get the list of requirements from a client, and if the client says no local experience, there is absolutely nothing the recruiter can do over there, right? But if you're referred internally, for example, Hugh referred you to James, right? Hugh says, hey, I know this brilliant person, try talking to him. It's very unlikely that James would question your local experience, right, over there. So this same thing happens internally as well. When you're referred internally and says, hey, I know this great person, he is absolutely brilliant in that, the local experience factor comes down over there. Even the factor of PR comes down over there, because if people know you're good, they would be ready to sponsor you. But if they don't know you're good, you're just a random person, and I have like 100 people over here who have a PR or who have local experience, and you're just saying, hey, I've applied for this as well, but you don't have anything extra. Why would I pick you, right? So that's where you have to become more visible. You have to give them one less reason to reject you, right? So again, it comes to personal branding, how you put yourself out there, how strong your network is, and all those factors out there. Hope that answers your question.
Vinesh, one thing to clarification to what Leah mentioned. She said, if you are not getting into that position, or upper level company, apply for a lower level, say tier 2 or whatever. Now, suppose for somebody with my background, or not even tier 2, she said, apply for lower, make an entry level at a lower level. But for somebody with, say, 10 years or 15 years experience, would the company want to take somebody having that much of an experience into a lower position? Won't they even, wouldn't that downplay on the person? Say, companies would... Yeah, they would think, why would somebody having so many years of experience, why would we want to put them into a lower level?
So in a way, kind of overqualified is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Leah, would you like to respond to that? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So if you are, I'm just saying this is another option if you are, struggling so much to find your first role in Australia. The other thing is, everybody comes at a different price as well. It's how much you're going to price yourself for your services, for contracts and things like that. And if you feel like it's going to hurt your career or brand or hurt your brand, then, it's totally up to you. You don't have to do that. You can continue to, look at other ways to find your foot in the door and get that first experience. So it's really up to you. My understanding is, some people might take just a shorter term contract, so it's only a couple of months. It's not, a permanent position that they're in a lower position. But if you find out if there is growth in that company and they are promoting people internally, if you do a bit of research on the company, you look at people who have been there, who have long tenure, and they've been promoted throughout, then I would say definitely yes, go into a lower position and let them know that you're looking to get your first experience and grow into a higher ranking and a higher position.
Okay. Thanks for responding to that, Leah. So I'd like to add a few points to that. Personally, I think never go for a junior role. You have 10 years of experience. Hold your skills. Make sure you translate that in a language that this industry understands and go for it. So build a strong personal brand around it and go for it. Yes, you can go for a junior role when nothing is working out. You're not seeing any opportunities in your role, for example, and you want to make a shift to some other role, or you want to make a slightly change your career at this point, right? So then you can target a junior role, but again, don't flaunt your same resume and same personal brand saying, hey, I'm this, I think I'd like for a junior role. No, that will often not work. Rather have a story saying that, hey, I have 10 years of experience. Now I'm trying to do something different and I'd like to start the junior role with this career. What are your thoughts on that? You have to go with that language and you have to go with that approach Do not flaunt your 10-year resume or a 10-year personal brand while applying for that role. So it's important. The language you present to the world is important here. Make sure that it is something that makes sense to the other person. Don't say, I just want a job right now. I'm trying to break into the market. Can you give me an opportunity? The other person. So what is the other person's perspective over here? The other person is thinking, hey, this person is just trying to use me to get her first step into the market, right? After 3 months, this person is going to leave me. Why should I take a risk with this person, right? Instead, say your story. I'm trying to do something new. I would like to learn into this. I would like to slowly grow into the market, and then approach that person. With that story, you're more likely to be heard, right? So the story that you say is very important over here, and it's important that it's consistent as well. So thanks, Srikanth, for reminding me. So if you can all put your LinkedIn profiles in the chat box so that you can connect to each other. This is the easiest way that I can find so that we can stay connected. So Srikanth has already shared his LinkedIn profile. If others can share the LinkedIn profile so we can keep in touch. And one lesson learned that I'd like to give to all of you is, please test your setup before a webinar, an interview, a virtual coffee catch-up, anything, right? The reason I say is, you might think, hey, I have a phone, I have a camera, I have a headphone, I have a place where I can sit quietly, I can talk. But you can't control the technical aspects of it, right? For example, how do I say it? You might not be using a headphone, right? You're sitting on a laptop and you're listening to what I'm saying right now. The problem with that is, if you're using your speakers, my voice comes through your speakers, which gets into your mic, and it will be an infinite loop, which kind of impacts all of us, right? So while making a conversation like this, make sure you have either headphones or you're on mute, or you're sitting in a room that doesn't echo much, right? Usually wired headphones are good. But sometimes, I think when I was talking to Harish, even though I could understand what you are, there was a lot of disturbance in the background. That could be that actual disturbance, or it could be because of a pure poor quality headphone, right? Camera, the way you're looking, it's sometimes, yesterday, I don't know, not yesterday, 2 days back, I attended a webinar by Naisha, which had Yana, a video coach, as a participant over there. So her number one tip was, if you're using a laptop, make sure laptop is not down, it's not up, it's on your eye level. So it's like, I'm talking like this, it looks odd. If I'm talking like this, it looks like I'm looking down to you. So make sure it's on eye level, and always look at the camera. Do not look at how are you looking. Is your hair all right? Is your dress all right? Don't look at that, right? So it's very important to do a trial on all those things. And events like these are excellent platforms for you to do it, because you don't actually care how things are, right? For example, Kimberly and Srikanth was there in yesterday's event, right? Yesterday's online catch-up. But I think Gauri replied on that meetup saying that she wasn't able to connect because of poor internet connectivity. Again, a challenge, right? So what if that was not a webinar, and what if that was an interview? How would you handle it, right? How would you? So make sure that you are ready to message that person, hey, I'm having this connection issue. People will accept that. So, but you have to be prepared. Don't panic. Hey, my internet connectivity is going down, or my battery is down, right? Again, another point, make sure your phone battery, your headphone battery, everything is good, right? So make sure you practice all these scenarios. You're ready, you're prepared for all these scenarios. At least for the next 2 to 3 months, I see a lot of online activities going on. Make sure that you're prepared for that. Yeah. Anything else? Any last minute questions you'd like to do, or you'd like to ask, or is that it for today? Excellent. So I think another general advice I'd like to give is this. I've been saying this even during meetups. make sure you update your RSVPs if you can't make a meetup or if you can't make a webinar. For example, I think today's event, we have 23 signed up and probably 9 people who turned up. This is, for me as an organizer, what this shows is you're not valuing my time, you're not valuing my effort. And in general, organizers hate this concept that people don't turn up, right? So make sure if you can't make it to the meetup, that's absolutely fine. You have an emergency, that's absolutely fine. But just mark your RSVP or update your RSVP that you can't make it. Don't ghost, which is what we complain every day. No, the recruiter is not replying to me. The recruiter is not responding to my email. The recruiter is not picking up my call. But when you're doing the same thing, you're doing that same thing to me and other organizers as well. So keep that in mind. Always.
This is in the interest of the job seekers like me. So if like Vinesh, Leah, everyone is going to take out time, it makes more sense if there is an attendance of like 10 plus or something of that sort, right? If there's going to be a single digit, it might make a sense to cancel because they are also on a weekend with their families. So
absolutely. Yeah. So another hindsight or another bad thing about that is, for example, yesterday's event that we did, it had a capacity. As it was the first event organized by RAM, we restricted the number of participants to 20. So we closed the registrations of 20, and in the end, only 5 or 6 participants turned up. But as a result, the people who wanted to attend it, who are in the waiting list, they could not attend it. Who's lost is that, right? So that it has a domino effect on a lot of things. So make sure that you update the RSVP. I've written tons of times on regarding this on my LinkedIn, but make sure you update your RSVP. All right. Thanks for spending your time. Special thanks to Leah for all your insights and spending some time with us on a weekend. For me personally, all days look the same. Just sit at home and do what you're doing. So it doesn't really look different. But thanks for all spending your time, and I'll hopefully see you next time. And next Tuesday evening, I'm having a meetup, which is my monthly meetup version. It's not a free event; it's a paid event. It's just a small cost, $10, and the reason why I'm charging that $10 is same. My meetups usually have 70 registrations and 35 participants, and that's not a good thing to have. So at least when you pay $10, I hope that you're committed to that. That's the reason one reason that I have a small charge to it. That is a 2-hour event. We'll be discussing a lot more things. We have a panelist of 3 recruiters and 2 coaches as well. So if you are interested, if you're looking for a job, there are plenty of seats available still. Go ahead and register for it. And I'll see you all next time. Remember, do something so that you have something interesting to share before we catch us the next time. All right. Thanks and bye-bye.
Harish, your last thing. Can you please send the Tuesday event invite once again? I think I missed it. So, I remember having seen it, so just resend it.
I'll share it. All right.
Thank you.
Everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leah.
Yeah, thank you.